The old woman opened her door expecting death, but instead, she found a mother begging for mercy. If this story moves you even a little, don't forget to like and subscribe, because some stories deserve to be remembered. The wind howled like a living thing across the frozen Siberian wasteland, clawing at the wooden walls of a tiny, isolated cabin buried deep in snow. Inside, 80-year-old Anya Petrovna sat wrapped in layers of wool, her hands trembling slightly as she poured herself a cup of weak tea. The thermometer nailed outside her window had dropped to an impossible -71 degrees Celsius. In such cold, even silence could freeze. She had lived alone for years now. Ever since her husband passed and her children moved far away, Anya had learned to survive in solitude. She spoke little, moved slowly, and had accepted that winter might one day take her quietly in her sleep. But that night, something unexpected shattered the stillness. A heavy thud struck her door. Anya froze. At first, she thought it was the wind throwing ice against the wood. But then it came again, slower, deliberate. A knock. Her heart pounded. No one came here. No one could survive the journey in such cold. She stood, grabbing her lantern, and slowly made her way to the door. Every instinct told her not to open it. But loneliness has a strange way of overpowering fear. She unlatched the door, and what she saw made her breath vanish in her chest. A massive brown bear stood just outside, its fur crusted with ice, its body trembling from exhaustion. Snow swirled around it like a storm-given shape. But it wasn't the bear that made Anya gasp, it was what lay at its feet. A tiny cub, barely moving. Its small body was limp, its breathing shallow, almost invisible in the freezing air. For a long moment, neither the woman nor the bear moved. They simply looked at each other, two mothers in different forms, bound by something deeper than fear. Then, slowly, impossibly, the bear lowered its head. Not in threat, but in pleading. Anya felt something inside her break open. Without thinking, she stepped aside. "Come in," she whispered. The bear hesitated only for a second before gently nudging the cub forward. It didn't cross the threshold, it stayed outside, as if understanding some invisible boundary, but it watched with desperate, unblinking eyes. Anya knelt beside the cub, her old hands surprisingly steady. The little creature was freezing, its heartbeat faint. She quickly wrapped it in a thick wool blanket and carried it inside. Behind her, the bear let out a low, mournful sound. "I'll try," Anya said softly, as if the animal could understand her. "I'll try everything I can." She shut the door against the brutal wind, sealing the three of them into a fragile moment of hope. Inside, the cabin warmed slowly from the crackling fire. Anya placed the cub near the stove, rubbing its tiny body to restore circulation. She fed it drops of warm milk using a cloth, whispering to it as though it were her own child. Hours passed. The storm outside raged louder, but inside, time seemed to slow. The cub didn't move much. More than once, Anya feared it had slipped away. Each time, she pressed her ear to its chest, praying for even the faintest sign of life. Outside, the mother bear never left. Through the frost-covered window, Anya could see its silhouette curled against the storm, enduring the deadly cold without shelter. Waiting, trusting, that realization hit Anya harder than the cold ever could. "This mother," she whispered to herself. "She trusts me." It had been decades since anyone had needed her like this. Through the long Siberian night, Anya fought alongside the tiny cub. She used everything she knew, old remedies, warmth, patience, love. Her own exhaustion didn't matter anymore. Just before dawn, as the storm began to weaken, something miraculous happened. The cub stirred, a faint twitch, then a soft, fragile sound, barely more than a breath. Anya gasped, tears filling her eyes. "Yes, yes, little one, stay with me." The cub's breathing grew steadier. Its tiny paws moved weakly against the blanket. Life had returned. Anya rushed to the door and opened it slightly. The freezing air rushed in, but she didn't care. "It's alive," she called out softly. The bear immediately rose, its massive form moving closer. It didn't enter, but its eyes, those deep, intelligent eyes, locked onto hers. And in that moment, Anya swore she saw relief. Hours later, when the sun finally broke through the gray sky, the temperature remained deadly, but survivable. Anya knew it was time. She wrapped the cub carefully and carried it outside. The mother bear approached slowly, cautiously. Anya knelt and placed the cub on the snow. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the cub let out a weak cry. The bear rushed forward, gently nudging it, licking its fur, pulling it close. The cub responded, pressing into its mother. Alive. Together again. Anya stepped back, her heart full in a way she hadn't felt in years. The bear looked at her one last time. And then, in a quiet gesture that would stay with Anya forever, it lowered its head once more. Not in fear, but in gratitude. Without another sound, the bear turned and disappeared into the endless white, carrying its cub back into the wild. Anya stood there long after they were gone, the cold biting at her skin, but she didn't feel it. For the first time in years, she didn't feel alone. Because that night had proven something she had almost forgotten. Kindness has no language, trust has no boundaries, and even in the coldest places on earth, warmth can still be found. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video and subscribe, because sometimes, the smallest acts of compassion create the most unforgettable miracles.